Chad Eckert, but that's not Eric Martin's. But you're watching the Fantasy Golf Pod. You can follow us on Twitter at Fantasy Golf Pod. Normally on the pod, we're over here. We're cracking beers. We're clicking names. There's no sports. There's no names to click. But today I have the betting bartender. So I'm going to say cheers to you.
Cheers.
Welcome to the pod, Jeff Anzalotti, a.k.a. Anzo, a.k.a. DFS Tavern. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, Chad, thank you very much. That's probably the first time I really heard my my government name on this thing, so that's cool.
Well, I stole it from the DFS Open list of names. I knew your name through that, so that's how I know. Nobody calls you Jeff. You're Anzo. That's who you are.
I go by Anzo. It was kind of like one of those nicknames I had since I was a little kid. And then once I started bartending, you know, after college or whatever, when I got out of school, I was actually a military school guy. And I was like, screw this. And I got into restaurant bar business. And I started working with someone that called me Jeffy Poo. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to go with Jeffy Poo.
What?
So,
that is the dumbest.
I just went with Jeffy. I'm like, why not? So, yeah, some people call me Jeffy here and there. And that's actually like my actual Twitter account is at Jeffy Anzo. So that's why people kind of ask about that. But
okay.
Go backdrop.
So, Jeffy Poo, it is Friday, March 27th. There are no sports. COVID-19 has run rampant on our country, and it is ruining everything. You must be bored as fuck. Are you bored?
To be honest, no. Because I'm finding one thing that I've been fairly good at is keeping busy with everything I'm doing. I mean, when you think about us, and I know we chat about this like a couple days ago over DMing or whatever, like we like to either figure out new things or help other people in other ways. Now, I feel kind of dumb saying helping out other people as opposed to how other people are like actually donating stuff and going out there and giving people supplies. I'm not so huge on that, meaning like I love that, but I don't do that. I'm more of like, hey, I reach out to a bunch of my old coworkers, all the restaurant individuals that are now out of jobs and said, hey, would you like some ideas and learn how to make money by putting yourself out there? And so I've always had like a separate YouTube station, or I used to do a pod a long time ago. I wish I kept it up because it would probably be a lot bigger than what we're doing now. But it's like, okay, give me some ideas that you're passionate about. And it's taking like the Gary V essence and just dumbing it down. Be like, take something that you're passionate about and that you're fairly good at. I'll teach you how to make a pod or make a video and set you up and put it out there. Now they're thinking like, how much money am I gonna make? No, that's the wrong idea. It's going to be how
$0.
Yeah, you're gonna make zero. You're gonna make zero. It's gonna take a lot of work, but you know, if you're willing to put in the work at some point, maybe you do put a video out there that gets spiked because people, all they're doing right now, everybody's on their damn phones and computers right now because that's all they got time to do. They're playing either games with their friends distantly. They're going on happy hours, right? Virtual happy hours. But
I got one with my family later today.
Exactly. So I'm like, get your stuff out there now because the attention right now on those devices is, I mean, it's always been high, but it's higher than it's ever been. So jump on there and make stuff. So I kind of put myself on the spot on my Facebook and was like, I'll show you that I don't know how to cook, but I'll make a cooking video. So after we get done, I'm editing my damn cooking video that I made last night.
Nice.
So I'm keeping busy. You know, it's just, if I can show people that it can be done by someone that's sucky at it,
don't say that. Actually, let's talk about your website though. You are DFS Tavern because you are a bartender, and that is a real job that you still hold.
No, not anymore. So,
okay.
I got out of the business to learn how to make videos, how to trade stocks, how to basically have like 5 different side hustles at the same time. And so once I learned all that stuff, like I was fortunate enough where I had a couple jobs at the same time in the bar industry and did very, very, very well for bartender standards, I would say. Like, if I spit out the number, people would be like, how the hell did you do that? Well, I worked my
Where
ass
are you though? Like certain cities, you get more money. Where are you quarantined at the moment?
Chicago, just outside the city
so
line
that's
in Chicago.
Decent. Yeah,
but,
that's a third biggest city.
Yeah, so I dropped everything, kind of did that. So still was making okay money on the side and knew that I kind of wanted to go into this DFS stuff and maybe make a brand for myself there. Not really seeing it being like an end game or anything like that, but at least like make some money on the side. But then most recently I picked up a job. I can't really say where, because it's kind of how they call it, conflict of interest. But it's something that just got approved out in Illinois. I will say that.
Okay.
And basically, it's such a big company that they're paying us, and we just got hired. So
perfect. Let's stop and talk for a second about the fact that you don't take this the wrong way. You don't look like the Gen Z YouTube content creator type. So what made you want to be? I mean, yeah, no offense, but at the same time, like you have a lot of subscribers. You know what you're doing. Where did this come from? Like, you just pick up a book and learn how to do it, or you just kind of practice trial by error?
Oh, trial by error. Yeah, I'm definitely not Gen Z. I'm Gen X. Probably the younger side of the Gen X era, or on the cusp of it, whatever you want to call it, right?
Sure.
And yeah, I wasn't sure how that was going to play out, but now you see everybody from there's 60-year-olds out there, there's 20-year-olds out there making videos and stuff now. I, so I was fortunate enough to kind of get in at least I started off with golf and I jumped into NASCAR because the whole thing was NASCAR. There was like 2 pods out there doing NASCAR content. Although I like golf a lot more, I knew that was kind of my in. And I wasn't going to cover every sport because that's just ridiculous. There's too many sports out there to cover, and you don't want to get sidetracked.
What other sports? So you have golf, NASCAR, NFL, MMA.
Right.
Are you going to end up doing
4.
LOL and horse racing?
Yeah. Well, horse racing, if you want to go way back, horse racing is like how I began my betting career. I'm a sports bettor more so than a DFS player. Like when people talk about hedging against like their DFS play, I do that with sports betting. And so that's how I kind of get into it. But sports betting was never legal up until like a couple of years ago in more than one state, really.
So were you going to Vegas and stuff like that, or did you?
No, it was all offshore for a while. But horse betting is legal because the way it's set up. Parimutuel betting. I mean, we can jump into that, but it's like Express Bet or Twin Spires or Spires. Those are legal, 100% legal, USA run because you're betting against a pool, not against a bookie. So that's allowed. And so, yeah, I started on that a long time ago when I was a little kid. Obviously, the interwebs weren't out, but that's how it got me into like numbers and betting and understanding the math behind it. I wasn't like a math whiz, but math was definitely my strongest field in school.
So then did you just go, I'm gambling on games. I can join these leagues with my friends and play fantasy style. Like, did you just do that like everybody else pretty much?
I would say so. I mean, again, going way back, there was this game called Stratomatic Baseball, which was basically fantasy baseball using like playing cards and a roll of the die. To see what happened based off of their true stats. Like if someone was bad at like 300 or better, then like, it'd be like numbers like 5, 6, and 7 would be a hit.
Gotcha.
Like 12 would be a home run. 2 would be cool. Like in the park, something weird like that. The numbers added up and the math added up, and we didn't realize at the time. But then once fantasy came out, you had like Yahoo Fantasy was big. I used to play Yahoo Golf with my dad back when David Duval was #1 player. So we're talking 98, 99-ish. And that's when I was in college. I was in college 97 to 2001. So kind of doing that. And then, of course, get out of college and people want to play fantasy football each week. And to me, there wasn't enough of a payout or a payoff at the end of a season. You grind out a season. It doesn't matter if it was $20, $100, $200 to enter these things. It was 17 weeks or 16 weeks, whatever they are, right, for fantasy football, grinding it out to maybe win some money at the end. And it was only like 4X or something. I was like, yeah, it's too much of a grind. We all lived in different parts of the country. So people that lived on one side of the country could get the waivers in quicker than the guys that live in. Now, being in the bar industry, I was up at those hours, so it didn't matter to me. And I was one of those guys that got like the free agent picks in early. Doesn't mean I did great, but I had an edge. I didn't like it. I wanted something different. And then when all these DFS sites came out, like I was like, it took me about 2 years to like actually give into joining. So that would have been what, 2005,
6, 7 or something.
Oh, I don't even know if it was that early then. Shoot. I've only been playing like DraftKings maybe for 5 years.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
golf's
So,
only been out for 6 years. I know I used to do
yeah.
DraftKings 9 years ago, so that was 2011. So maybe it was not about that. I mean, and there was all sorts of random sites before the two kingpin sites, but
Right, right. And I think, like you said, if golf came out 6 years ago, maybe that's when I started. Because golf was really the one. I didn't even play fantasy football for a while on
okay.
DraftKings. So.
We've been asking the people we're talking to if they've had a proud moment in betting history, or if they have a what we call hashtag mega profit, which is just any win that made you feel good, or any kind of like pick that hit, or something that your proud moment.
Sure. I think that's easy. And side note, I had reached out to some people to give me some funny lines to spit out during this podcast. And one of them was Spieth. And fortunately, back, what was it, 2000? When did Willett win? 2016? 15?
Yep. I think it's 16. Yep.
So when I was on the bandwagon with Feinberg, Mayo, and all those guys on Danny Willett to win the Masters, at 80-1 at the time, I got him at.
Yeah, I seen that at 60, 70, 80-1. Yep.
Yeah. So I got him at 80. And when it happened, I mean, the collapse by Spieth was, I gave out I was just watching at my house and my roommate was there. He's like, what happened? I go, dude, I think we just made a bunch of money and we're going to go out to dinner and I got the tab. He's like, what? I'm like, dude, like it's happening. And then of course, when it got finalized, like that was the biggest win by far I've had. And people always ask me like, how much money do you have down? I'm like, obviously not enough, but
Sure.
At 80-1, I will say this, it paid a few months rent easily, like easily. So,
in Chicago too. So not,
well, that was in San Diego at the time.
Oh,
I was out in San Diego.
Oh, so you're originally from San Diego? Is that why you wear the Chargers hat sometimes?
So I grew up in Massachusetts. I went to
Okay.
school in Connecticut, moved out to San Diego right after college, pretty much. And now Chicago for like the last 2.5, 3 years almost.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to bounce around.
All right. Well, now your weekly process, does it change each week? Do you have the same thing? We know kind of who you are since we follow your YouTubes and stuff, but some people who don't know, you may not know. You do a YouTube Monday, you do a live show Wednesday, and I mean, you're constantly looking at stuff, tweeting stuff, but what's your process like? Do you have a player pool? What kind of games and contests, tournaments do you play in?
Yeah, I think it's just like you. I think you have your process, and like as other guys have the process. And it's actually neat to hear that you guys switched from Monday to Tuesday to give you a little bit even more time to have a better idea of where ownership's going to be. Now, I don't. I definitely have a process. I do my Monday show, so I already know who's in the field. You just don't know what the DraftKings price is. And I don't play much FanDuel, so I'm going to say DraftKings,
Right,
maybe some Yahoo. I do play on Yahoo too.
So you're doing your show before pricing comes out?
No. I'm saying I know what the field's going to be because I'm all hooked on that. I know who the add-in player is going to be because I follow like the Monday qualifying guy on Twitter. So I know that type of information. So you just got an idea of like, okay, I already know what the stats are now. What we use, and I say we because we brought in David the Hamburgiti on for golf. And we met through like my YouTube videos, honestly. And so we kind of do the same thing. We don't use Fantasy National, like nothing against them. They're a great product, but we feel that we can still have enough of the edge and have some of the same information and understand where the info is coming from, especially like if someone's doing better in the last 12 rounds versus like the last 24 or 2 months, whatever. We use all our stats and we put up on our website, and this is all for free each week. We make our own models
at dfstavern.com, right?
No, it's a bit.ly link. If you type in DFS Tavern, you'll see it's actually a Google site. We do everything like for minimal price that we can. We will probably
That's what we are.
Switch that to a site eventually.
But okay, so if you Google DFS Tavern, a website will come up. Look you up on Twitter. There's links in your bio. But anyway, so keep going. Yep.
Yeah, that stuff's all up there. And basically, so we put up our models. I honestly don't even change my stats each week. The only thing I do is I update them. So I scrape them off of the PGA website and they get updated and I keep the same ones. So my process is, look, I understand people want to do like the keys, the tee to greens and the birdie or betters. Understand that, got to have them. But I kind of figured out the opportunities gained on my own without knowing it. And kind of made that mix, and I have it ranked out to where I can tweak it even just a little bit each week, depending on, are the greens small? Okay, let's tweak this down a little bit and tweak something else up. And it takes about 4 stats in one to make that one. I call it my mixologist cocktail or mixed cocktail.
I've heard that.
DFS Tavern. But it is the same process. Once we get the pricing in, I cross off like half the names right away, lightly, because, some of them I'm going to probably want to use, but it gives me my ranking system. And then from there, my Monday video is pretty simple. I don't want to spend hours and hours on this. So my Monday video is the pricing comes out and I just go through not necessarily who ranked out best in each breakdown of our area. Like we do like the 10K and above, 9K to 99. So I do one for each area and I list out 5 golfers. So I'm not trying to list out a full golf team, because the one thing we do at the tavern, or I should say don't do at the tavern, is we don't give out lineups. People will post them. Like we have a Discord chat. That's where we kind of quote unquote make our money, whatever you want to call it. But people will post lineups out there and I'm like, I don't want to be the one to talk someone off of a lineup that they made or tweaks it. Because then if they go to someone I say and it messes up, I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but you're ultimately the one clicking the mouse or hitting the finger on the phone, right? Sure. But we talk about it. And we say, okay, it looks like too much like a cash lineup, or that looks too like a really crazy GPP. Anyway, the Monday video is simple. It's take the guys that are, if they're popping in my model, they're going to pop in like 95% of the models. Those are probably going to be the chalkier players. And I state this, and like they're just ranking out my video. So that's like my initial kind of pool. Because again, I'm more of a cash play guy than a GPP guy. I'll probably play 5 to 8 lineups a week in golf.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I'll play 3. And what I do is I go into the single entry cash contest, but I try to go for those ones that are like thousands of players. So you got the $5, the $10, the $25, $2, maybe a $3. They're kind of the same each week, but not necessarily. Anyway, so I throw down on those because I want more players with less, not going against a bunch of lineups.
So in a situation where you're making, let's just round it off to 7 lineups, how many players are you going to use? Are you going to use just a dozen, or do you have a process for that?
Let me go. I keep all this information down. Like I have like a nice handbook. I do everything by hand because it's not that many lineups. But I do balance it against some man, it's all on my computer, honestly. I would say if I have like 7, I might get to 15, because I'm still going to have my core. And
well, you're not like the Lamborghini where he follows Rick Run Good's core cascading method.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of us, like on the same show, is that he does one method, I do another, and Greg, our green screen Greg, G Hack Attack, he does another method. So the 3 of us do different methods, and I think it actually is nicely because
because Eric's the chalk donkey. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. And so we bounce ideas off of each other. Totally. And that's the Wednesday show. So the Wednesday night show, now we're all busy, so not all 3 of us are on at the same time.
Hey, you always need a guest. You know who to call.
Exactly. And it was great to have you on, because then we get to learn your process.
Yeah,
and I think we're kind of on the same page, at least when we get down to the lower, like the 69 and under. My process is fade the chalk 6K play. I don't care how juicy it looks. I will probably fade that player 99% of the time. And when I say fade, like it's a hard fade. Because again, if I'm playing 5% of lives, I gotta take a chance. Because if that player doesn't get like a top 12, probably okay. I choose that number because that's at that point, that's when the number starts creeping up a little bit. I think it's like actually like top 10 where the bonus points come in. But you got to figure they're probably making a ton of birdies if they get up there anyway. But yeah, if you can fade that player, and they're going to come in like 10% owned, 12% owned sometimes. Most of the time, they're like 8 to 9% owned. You already got a leg up on them, and you pick someone else that can do just as good. What's the difference?
Exactly. And this is golf. And you know that.
Well, how about you? Do you feel like golf has been getting tougher throughout the last years? Because I think it's getting very tough now.
Oh, yeah.
My cash lineups are like looking very weird lately. Like very.
I know. I think cash is losing a little. You can't really get anything in cash. You basically have to have GPP lineups in cash almost these days.
Maybe instead of like a 3 and 3, you can go like a 4 and 2, meaning like 4 chalk 2 off the wall picks.
So I had Ben Raza on, and I talked to
Mm,
him about this. So in the NFL season, Adam Levitan, he was talking on his pods about how everyone's leveling themselves and getting like too cute because these good plays are just so obvious, and DraftKings almost wants you to have a couple easy plays. And so in the NFL, these people are skipping this play in a cash situation where he's a $4,600 starting running back or something like that. I think that's somewhat happening here in DraftKings golf, where Joel Damon, Max Homa, they're playing awesome, but then the public doesn't care about them as much. DraftKings doesn't care about them. They still put them at 6,500 or 6,800. That's
right.
not their fault. So I think it used to be maybe a year or two ago that you cannot have a $6,600 guy. You could probably still get away with a chalky $6,600 guy, but you have to just differentiate in a different spot. But I think it's just getting a little bit harder, even like the game theory. Do you do that? Do you not do that? And that's Raz's talked about that too. I mean, it's just like it is getting to a point where you can't get too cute.
Right. Yeah, it really is. I mean, if you've seen some of the winning lineups come up, and I usually have those on. I know Rick Rungood does it too, where he posts up like this is the final lineup. You'll see some weeks it's like extremely, extremely chalky. It happens. But if that happens, I'll make money in my cash lineups most likely.
Sure.
And my GPPs might suck a little bit. They might, because my GPPs do look a little weird. Not like super weird, but if I can get a guy, like I've been very big on Bezuidenhout the last like 2 months.
Okay.
I was actually ready to put him in on a Masters bet. I thought he might have been this guy. He was just streaking, right? And I couldn't get anybody to jump on him. Every time I took him, he was like point owned.
Yeah.
You know, I think once he got to like 2%, I was like, oh, it's gonna go right back down. And point owned, I was like, dude, I have so much leverage on this guy. And I will say this year has been a very tough year for me. Like this season, I'll say this season has been difficult. I just started turning around, and then we had the coronavirus come in, because even then I was doing well. And yeah, like you said, sometimes the guys are so obvious down there. So I guess when I said like I fade the guy, I do see if it's like an obvious player we need or not.
It's DraftKings' fault. Like it's not this player's fault. I mean,
Right.
DraftKings screwed up their price. Like the players' pricing came out before Homa and Damon finished top 5 at the tournament before.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah. So when someone like that is playing so well and fits the course, I mean, we all have those stats now where we can pick off players. And for someone that just watches the game here and there, doesn't know, like we can pick out names of players. And I used to do this at the bar. I'd bet someone like $5 this back and forth. And I think after like 3 times, he kept on doubling down. I kept on betting. I mean, he was picking guys that he knew, big names. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I think I was like one of the names like Chaz Reavy, Kokrak. I hate Kokrak. I picked him one time. He was like, who are these guys? I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll talk Sunday.
Yeah, yeah. You just wait and see, buddy.
He'd just be giving me the money. Like it is what it is.
No, you can get away with fading a chalk, and like you usually can. I mean, there's a rare circumstance that a $6,600 chalk guy will be in the winning lineup. Like it's rare. So the strategy of fading that is probably a majority of the time a good strategy.
Right.
Is there any other important lessons you've learned? Is there one takeaway after losing all your money for years and years and years?
Sure.
For example, we say if somebody putted really badly, but their irons were good. I mean, this is just the most basic example. They might turn their putter around and their irons could stay hot and they'll have a good tournament the next week.
Yeah.
Rule of thumb.
I kind of feel like John Jones turning down an Uber at 2:30 a.m. right now, you know, undecisive and probably want to drive and drunk and do the same thing over and over again. But like I said, I was having a tough time, and it was because I was getting a little bit too chalky with my lamps. Now, I do put projections of ownership out my own. Again, I'm not doing an R-squared regression model or anything. It's just that I was doing it on my own for like a year, bouncing off all their, like Gups puts up a great one each week. That's I will say this, Gups Corner is the only thing that I belong to.
Oh wow! So you do pay?
So I do pay for Gups, but okay. You know, we talked about. I'm like, I do not give away any of your information. Like, sure. I think one time, something wasn't available, and I put out like, oh, man, I forget what it was. Either way, it was like we had like the same like bets. I'm like, dude, I did not steal your bets. Like he's like, yeah, exactly. No problem. So that's the one thing I do pay for, and I usually bounce my ownership off of his. Now I try to get mine out there before he posts his anyways, which is usually the case. So I do try to get mine out on like early on a Wednesday afternoon. Now, is it right all the time? Absolutely not. But at least it gives me an idea of where to go with these players. And I guess the one thing I've learned is that no matter how much we predict these ownerships, it's all it takes is like some people on a Wednesday night, Thursday morning to get some steam rolling. They will completely flip on you. And you could grab a guy that you think is going to be like 10% and he jumps up to 15, 16% just like that. Can bite you in the butt. And there's nothing.
Exactly.
What can you do about that? Probably not much. But what you can do to help that is that instead of having a projection of to be like 10%, maybe you can say he's going to be like 6 to 14%. I know that's a huge like area to think, but I'm like, you have to kind of think that way now to be like, am I willing to play this person now 25%, 30% rather than 20% to get 2x possibly if he gets up to 16. So I've kind of made
that. It every week. There's a guy that you think's going to be 12 and everyone's like, this guy's going to be 12. Oh, I got to get on him. And then they go to 18. Yep. And then there's a guy that's 18 and they're like, this guy's going to be 18. Got to get away. And then they become 12. That's great.
Exactly.
Because you need to look at the projections as projections. It's not as accurate.
Yeah, it's up and down like all week. It's screwy to deal with, but I guess that's like the one thing I've learned. The other thing is too, kind of like going to war, right? Where you watch those old like military movies or stuff, I don't know, Platoon and things like that. It's like the one thing you got to learn is that it's like if you're sent to war, you're already dead, right?
Sure.
So when playing DFS, when you're playing DFS, whatever you put in that week, consider it gone.
Correct.
Just consider it gone. Like if it's $20 you play, $5, $2, $100, $800, $12,000, consider it dead.
Totally.
And then hopefully it's a little bit more than you put in on Sunday.
Yeah, maybe you get a little bit back. Or maybe you get a hashtag mega profit and make a penny.
Exactly.
Now, Hamburgini, you mentioned this guy. He's a co-host of yours. You also have Green Street Greg. I call him GSG. He does those ownership sheets. Great guy. Where did you get these characters for your show?
I think the beauty of the DFS community, and unfortunately, since you weren't able to get to the DFS Open, you didn't get to see us in person. But
Anzo, I have a 3-month-old inside. The thing was 8 weeks old. My wife said no. Not going.
Hashtag no excuse. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It was now. Hey, we did still see. We played your hole. I forget what hole you were, but we saw your hole out there. So that was pretty cool. So that was awesome that you still donated to it.
Good cause.
But
Joe I, we love Joe I.
Yeah. Oh, great dude. Great dude.
I saw your interview with him. Go check that out. He's got an interview.
Dude, he goes through the whole process of like running a charity event, like verbatim. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Mad respect for doing that. Jeez.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Go back to your guys though. Hamburgini, he's a character.
Okay. So David Hamburgini, everybody we met was either through Twitter or YouTube. And that's why I was getting into the community of people. It's like, there's a lot of good people out there. Of course, there's going to be some not so great people, but hot take, those people only play a persona.
Totally.
So, I mean, I've talked to some of these people like in DMs and they're actually really cool. Anyway, so on YouTube, David kept on reaching out to me and then said, hey, I used to work with this other company and this is what I did. I said, I was still new at the time. I'm like, I just show you what you kind of did. Like not how you did in DFS, but like kind of what you put out there. And he showed me what he did. I'm like, all right, man, like I could always have another day. Cause again, like I said, I dropped everything. So I was just making videos like every day. And so I had a Monday show, a Tuesday show, a Wednesday show. I'm like, how about we do a show on Tuesday? It's like, all right. So we figured out a time we could both do it. We did the show. And we saw our two like processes kind of come together. And so that was very early on. And then with Greg, I saw his graph, after a few weeks and he was doing this on paper by hand during in his profession, he has a lot of paper at his abundance notebooks. So when he had downtime, he'd listen to pods, like just real quickly and just write down. And so at 1 week, I was like, dude, you need to name this something. So I said, what about Tautometer? He's like, I love it. Let's go with it. And then Tambo comes on and goes, dude, you guys should like have a show. I'm like, not a bad idea. So then we started doing a show on Wednesday. And then it was like, wait, why don't we just combine these shows with me and David and me and Greg and let's put it into one show with all three of us. And so we've been running with that for like 2 years now.
Yeah, nice.
And that's kind of that's kind of happens. You talk to these people just like we are. You interact with these people on Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
And after seeing your video with Eric I watched it last night, and I was like, you're totally right. You went through like how you grew on Twitter and like kind of like the things that spiked it. You can sit at, just like with YouTube, you can sit at with like no subs, no likes for a long time, but at some point you keep putting it out there and you keep showing it out there. Someone's going to take a bite, and that sounds like you're trying to sell something. I'm not trying to sell something, but someone's interacting with you and you find out who they are, and
it's one step at a time. It's every day there's something that you can do, and every day gets closer to where your goals are. Now, what are your goals with this whole thing? Are you going to end up trying to, I mean, obviously you got to make some money eventually, right? Are you making any money?
Like I can probably go like start with like my mistake and then get into that. Well, the mistake was I started selling stuff at a year subscription by myself very early on. So once I got to, I think like 150 subs on YouTube, which I knew was not a thing. Like, I'm like, all right, but I'm like, I started at 0 and now I'm at 150, and I kept track of a notebook. So let me, God, I should have had all this stuff ready. But I have stuff down. Like I call them like mini goals or, missions. And I had down, okay, so it took me, I started YouTube on January 3rd in 2018. By April, I had 200. And by May, I had 250. I think that's when I started it. So we'll say May. I started like a subscription, and it was all via Google Docs, which I still use. I use Google Sheets, Google Docs, all that stuff. But my problem was I sold something at a season, which meant if I ever felt like dropping off, because there was plenty of times, just like you said, where I was like, F this.
I'm done.
This is screwy. I'm having some bad weeks, and now people are blaming me for stuff. I don't even know these people, whatever. But I'm like, nope, I had these people pay for the season. I have to finish it out. And that's what kind of kept me going. But then from there, it like grew exponentially from that point on. And then the big kick, like I said, I know this is a golf show, but again, it was NASCAR. Once Daytona came in, Daytona like spiked everything for me. And that's when I knew I had to like stick with NASCAR too. But, shoot, I know I'm going off on a tangent. That's what I do. But where do I see where we're going now? I don't know. Yeah. Like we did have to make somebody I quote unquote hired. I brought in other people to do stuff like David and Greg, they both get compensated. We had Sterling on for football, compensate him a little bit. Now, when I say compensated, we're not making a ton of money, but at least it's like I can give a little bit of something out.
But you're over 1,000 subscribers. That's the point where you can start monetizing your page, right?
Exactly. But you'll be amazed, like per a video. Now, people have thoughts about YouTube, right? They're like, well, you have ads in the beginning and end or whatever. I'm like, dude, see how we get paid. At least this is before we started our Patreon stuff. But I was like, I mean, people think we're making a lot of money on there. No, you're making like $1.50 per video. At 1,000, if that. A lot of them were like 60 cents. It's like, was this? Oh, F this! I want to stop. You're
not doing this for the money. This is
no, not at all. We, I mean, it's a little bit more than that now, but we're still like, I think we're at like 19 something. We're trying to get to 2 grand, and then all this stuff happened. And I've actually lost subs since sports stopped. We'll see you again in a little bit. Whatever. Right. It is what it is. But
so what's your plan though? Like now, what's your plan for the next couple weeks? I guess
the next couple weeks. We'll just get these other content
interviews
out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got a bunch
like I said, I have a separate page to do other stuff. I don't really use it, but if I want to keep it DFS oriented, I might. I'm gonna reach out to David and Greg, and maybe we do a little pod next week. But I'm gonna try to get some more evergreen stuff out there. I have this series that I call DFS 101. Now, I wouldn't go to say I'm definitely not an expert. Okay. By all means, I probably should start off with that. I'm not an expert. I'm just
we hashtag not experts.
Yeah, exactly. And for people that didn't watch your other show, go watch that. You had a good little talk about experts. It's just that I'm a guy that likes to make videos, and I'm okay at I'm okay with putting my face out there. And for people that hate me, bring it on. I don't care.
No, Anzo, you're one of the nicest guys ever. Like I DM'd you, or I asked the community if I could help me on this thing, and you responded, and we talked. If anyone's watching this that wants to start a content page, YouTube page, hit us both up. We don't give a shit. We'll tell you everything we know. We'll tell you all the stuff that we did that was bad and wasted our time. So you don't have to do those things, right?
Remember, we had a discussion, was it a year ago maybe, about working with OBS, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because
like
Google Hangout got killed.
But yeah, I feel like I'm pretty approachable. There are certain topics I don't like to talk about, but and I know on Twitter I can be a dick sometimes, but it's because Twitter, you only have so much space and that you're limited to words, and it could turn out to be like way more harsh than I mean it. So if it comes out that way, I'm not like, I don't delete stuff. I delete things if I like spelled something wrong and it made a complete different meaning because I spelled something wrong. I'm a horrible speller, but otherwise I say stuff and I say it, and it is what it is. But yeah, I feel like I'm pretty approachable and I'm always willing to help people. I know you are too. So yeah, that's one of the biggest things out there. And again,
don't be afraid to reach out to either of us, for sure.
Yeah. So one way to alleviate some of the DMs, or some which I treat as like my text to my phone pretty much, is to make this DFS 101 videos. And it's like, okay, cash versus GPP, how to build a GPP lineup, how to build a cash lineup. And these are all separate videos. And they all, I think, are in golf, honestly.
Okay.
Because that's where I basically play.
Focus.
And
well, cool.
Yeah. So I think that was kind of needed. And we did that because I need more evergreen videos out there. Now, I had one that I made a long time ago called NHL betting. And I made the video at the beginning of the season. So I'm like looking up stuff. That was like my second video I ever made. And I had a lot of stuff. I'm trying to like talk about teams at home and away, but they only played 2 games. So the stats were skewed. So I eventually changed it. And I think I just wiped it out. But it got hits like all the time, especially when NHL season started. That video kept on getting spiked. And this is a video I made back in whatever I said, 2018. It was my second video. But I took it
YouTube's
down.
a weird place. And if you need help navigating it, Anzo's the man.
Navigate. Yeah, right.
You are, though. You like know what you're doing. And you're like, you're not the whippersnapper. Like I said.
I spent a lot of time looking up keywords and how to market it out without paying for it, so to speak. And so
exactly. That's what you got to do.
SEO,
especially when you're on a low budget like us, when you're low stakes players.
Yeah, exactly. You try to get away with doing everything for as cheap as you can. It brings me to the point of like why we started charging people for this live chat through Discord. Now, again, we did that because we didn't want to do a yearly sub. We just want to make a monthly pledge. You can call it a sub, whatever you want, but the term is a monthly pledge through Patreon. And we started out with like a happy hour discount until we got to a certain number. Then once we passed that, we bumped it up $1. But I've looked at Patreon, DFS communities that go through Patreon through monthly subs. We are by far the lowest, probably by like, I want to say right now we're $6 a month for every single sport. So we have PGA, NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, LOL now, esports, of course, MMA, wrestling. We talk about wrestling on there. I mean, not a ton, but it's every sport. So I know some people are like $10 a month for one sport. It's fine and dandy. More power to them. We don't cater to those people. We cater towards those that mostly are grinding out to try to turn, 20 lineups on the 25-cent jukebox and try to make like $20 off of it or something, or whatever you can. And that's what we like. Now we have players on there that play a lot of money. We do. And
well, $6, that's like a cup of coffee, dude.
No. And if you don't want to join us for the live chat, we have one that's like, we call keeping the lights on. It's $2 a month. And we post everything up there that we post up. It's basically like read some posts is your benefit, but you're really just saying, hey, we like your YouTube content enough to actually pledge out a little bit.
Now, where can we find this? Is this at patreon.com and /DFS Tavern?
Yeah, /DFS Tavern. Again, I try to short link everything, so they're all like bit.ly links.
Yep. So just head over to your Twitter page at DFS Tavern. You can find these links. Anzo, you are the man. Appreciate you. Continue dominating in the YouTube game, and I'll look forward to seeing all these interviews. Let's just keep making some content and providing some value, right?
Heck yeah, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. And you too. I mean, it's fun to watch you grow
shit up as we go along.
industry that we go. So It's awesome having. I'm so glad that you had me on, and glad to bounce these ideas off of you. And hey, keep grinding. Good luck in the future.
I'll be on your pod anytime.
Awesome, man. Thank you again.
You're the man. Talk to you later.